So during the madness of after my husband's brain surgery, we had to travel down to Roswell on a daily basis for him to have radiation every day. It was a Monday through Friday thing, and during that, he was also on chemo, but the chemo he was taking at home, which was great. We were approached by somebody whose husband was also in Desert Storm, and she had done some research and told us to go talk to somebody at the DAV to see if maybe that the brain cancer or the brain tumor had stemmed from being over in Desert Storm. Now, during the process of all this and the craziness of getting back and forth to Roswell, my husband wasn't driving at the time because he had 6 months where he couldn't drive because he did have a seizure, which is why he fell down the stairs. I was driving him back and forth. We got an appointment at the DAV and went down to talk to somebody at the DAV. During the whole process of all of this, he brought up PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And me and my husband never even thought about that. It never even crossed our minds that he could have been suffering from that because he never acted like he did. So he brought the sheet out of what it actually was and different grades of it. And come to find out that I believe it was the 40%. We were reading through it in the different personality types. I was reading through this list and my husband hit every single one of them. He had a thing with loud noise. He didn't sleep very well. There was pacing. There was anger bursts. There was, I can't remember them all and I don't have the sheets. But we're reading through this and I looked at this and I looked at him and I go, babe, this is you. This is you. We need to go get this looked at. So we ended up going, again, this was all during the radiation and going down to Roswell every day for his radiation. We were also going for psychological evaluations to see if he was suffering from PTSD. And lo and behold, we were told after the last his last consult with a psychiatrist that he does indeed suffer from PTSD, and he is at an 80% range. So basically, there'll be triggers that will trigger it, and he will have, I don't want to say anger outbursts because he's not violent. He just gets these anger outbursts, and especially with noise. We have a bird, so when the bird just keeps going and going and going with her squawking, it gets on his nerves. And then during all of this, I ended up finding this group. It's called, I can't even remember what it's called, but I was under so much stress that I needed to talk to somebody too as well. And there was the support group, and it was for veteran caretakers. And they got in depth a little bit more with PTSD, and come to find out I suffer from it. I suffer from it from watching his fall and him seizing on the stairs. And I have triggers too. My biggest trigger is if I know that he's up and doing stuff around the house, especially if he's upstairs. And I hear any kind of loud bang or noise, I go running, and sometimes the tears will start because it just brings back flashbacks. Now, my husband still has memory loss. He doesn't remember he doesn't remember a lot from being over in Desert Storm. He remembers bits and pieces, but there's lots that he doesn't remember, and that's also part of PTSD. So why am I telling you this? I am telling you this because even though you suffer from anxiety, you suffer from depression, you suffer from PTSD, you suffer from cancer. Let me tell you, this last year has been hell for us when it comes to things being thrown at us. Infertility, where most people, or we should have just crawled under a rock and just stayed there. But we thrived. We thrived. Because we asked for the help. We did the research. We found support groups for help. My big thing was staying in exercise and my nutrition. That was huge. At one point, I was on antidepressants or anti-anxiety. I was on anti-anxiety pills after I had an anxiety attack at the end of his radiation. And I am no longer on any kind of meds. We have bought a house through all of this. We have set goals that we have hit. The first one was buying a house. The second one was getting a car, another vehicle. So we're a 2-vehicle family. And we've been hitting those goals even though we're still going through all this. I am here to help you as best as I can by telling my story. Because you can do it. Is it hard? Absolutely. It is hard. There were days I didn't want to get up, let alone work out. But let me tell you, on those days when I worked out, that's when I needed it the most. Because that's when I got my head clear. That's when I got my stress off. That was my alone time away from my husband. That it was just me time. That was the one thing that I learned in my support group. The big thing is they talk about self-care and taking that time out for yourself and taking care of you. Because if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of anybody else. And I have learned that, and I've learned that the hard way, and I hope nobody has to go through what me and my husband have been through. So I am here. If you want to start, I am here. Even if it's just with personal development, even if you just want to talk, I am here to help and support you. Even if I can direct you to someplace where maybe you would need a support group or help outside of that, I am here to help you. So it is, 2018. Our next goal is by 2020 to take a Disney trip. My husband hasn't been on vacation in 3 years. We are going on vacation this year, but we're going to Vermont. So there is light at the end of the tunnel if you work for it. But everything you do in life, you have to work for it, and it's not always easy. There's always going to be snags in the road. There are going to be times where you just don't want to get your head lift up and out of bed. There's going to be times where you just cry all day. I know I have done it. But you can get through it, and you can get through it with help. Even if it's, again, I'm here, even if you just need to vent.